Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your boy Brizzy, aka Brizzy J. You tuned in for the We Just Here podcast, and it's just me today. So because it's me today, I decided to make a segment called Get Brizzy. Where does that title come from? I'm a huge Bobby Brown fan, and one of his most famous, iconic sayings is "Get busy." So because my name is Brizzy, which derives from my first name, Brandon-Iszaiah, and J from my middle name, my middle initial, I decided, why don't we call it Get Brizzy? And, you know, we just going to talk about things I like. Hopefully you guys like it too. We're going to talk about cartoons, music, and just the madness of my mind, because why not? So let's get into it. I've been thinking, ADHD sucks. I was recently diagnosed a couple of months ago, maybe a month ago. I don't know, recently, this year. And I found that it was great that I finally had the answer to some questions that I had about myself. I noticed over the years that hey, it takes me a while to um, get thoughts together. I would always say, my mind runs faster than my mouth, so I will um, freeze like I'm doing now. It's very annoying when you're trying to have a conversation with somebody and you can't keep up, or either you're too far ahead. And even and that people would like start conversations with me, or I start conversations with people, and I just hate. They would always tell me that you take a long time to tell a story, you talk a lot, and I'm a very quiet person. When I'm quiet, you most likely won't even know that I'm there, and um, it's definitely a defense mechanism for not being judged or talked about, but you try, and when you finally have the chance to open up to somebody and they tell you to stop talking, or say you're talking too much, or anything like that, it immediately shuts you down. I wouldn't talk for a long time, and then as soon as someone opens that door, or opens the floodgates of um, whatever subject or something you're talking about, and you're finally getting to say all that stuff, and it just comes rolling out, rolling out, rolling out. You don't even notice that you're talking forever or a long time, and then somebody says, "Okay, let's give somebody else a moment to talk, some time to talk," or um, "Okay, I get it. You don't you don't have to explain anymore," or whatever, something along those lines, and it hurts a lot. It hurts a lot because it's so hard to open those floodgates ourselves. Um, Myself, it's so hard to open that floodgate, and once you shut it immediately, it feels like your heart is being ripped out of your chest, because you wanted to open up for so long, and now that you're able to open up, you're told to close. Like you were never. It makes me feel like I was never supposed to speak or say anything anyway. So then I, go back into my shell and not say anything. And it's like all you can do sometimes is spend time with yourself, and even that can be pretty annoying because all of your thoughts are constantly going. The neurodivergent mind is crazy. I always thought that I will say quote unquote normal, but I guess neurotypical. And I had these different things going on about me, like the um, running my words together and getting stopped up, or oversharing, they call it. And I would read. I would be able to read, well in my mind, but I couldn't do well reading to you. I would read as if I'm a little child learning to read for the first time, because my mind is reading the words faster than my mouth can process, faster than that uh, brain connectivity or whatever it's called can get to my mouth and tell it to say words. So I stumble my words because I'll go really fast, and then once I finally have a little tiny moment of okay, they are connected, it doesn't stay long. I could go, the sun is rising above the horizon, and or I could be, the sun is rising above the horizon, and then it sets down. Like it'll go fast, and then it'll just slow up, because they can never stay connected for long, and it's crazy. um I don't have too many people to talk to about it, and it's definitely isolating. And sometimes I isolate myself, sometimes we isolate ourselves, and it's not very healthy. It's good to have time to yourself, but it's not, when you crave human connection, it's not healthy to deprive yourself of it, because the Bible says, God says that we are not meant to walk alone. um, but it feels that way, being the only neurodivergent person in your house. It can cause a whole lot of, not even in the house, but it can cause a whole lot of issues. Like we some of us, some people with ADHD have emotional dysregulation, which means, I guess in my terms, you can look it up, but in my terms, you feel things differently than other people. Small things can seem like huge, horrific things. And that kind of goes hand in hand with RSD, which is um, rejection sensitive dysphoria, which means getting, in my definition, it means you don't take rejection well. You know, if you were to say, if you were to say, hey, can I please have that piece of toast? Somebody says no, and you feel it so deeply that you feel like you were stabbed in the heart because you were told no, that you couldn't have something. Like, you, as a person, as a being, were rejected, and and it's just very hard to deal with. Emotional dysregulation. If you've seen um, Inside Out 2, if you've seen Inside Out 2, when the scene where the emotions are first experiencing Riley's puberty as she wakes up, and you know, disgust tries to tap, they try to gently move the controls, and it goes overboard. Like, I'm just gonna do this, and then Riley has a whole like outburst. It feels like that. So anything small that is acted upon can hit me very hard, or it cannot hit me at all. There is not like there is no gray area for me and for a lot of us. It's either black or white when it comes to certain situations. Either you feel or you don't feel. It's not like in between. Yeah, obviously we're human beings. You can I feel this type of way, but I also feel this way. Da, da, da. But with certain big things like that, it's hard to not get angry. It's not hard to not feel so strongly about it. I read that ADHD is and I've been told by therapists that um, ADHD is a chemical deficiency of dopamine. It's the lack of dopamine that help regulate the emotions and things that your body needs, I guess, to function the neurotypical way. Not the best at explaining everything. Um, Another thing I could talk about is, my working memory is not that great. I get teased all the time for not remembering, you know, um, what was said. I always remember how what you said made me feel, but I may not remember the exact words that you said. Or sometimes I was zone out and not even really catch it, and it makes you feel bad sometimes when that happens because it's like I'm not in control of my own body. I'm not in control of my own emotions. Um, I'm not. It seems like you're not in control of anything, and because I'm conscious of it now, everything that I knew back then, I was happy to finally have an explanation for it. But then it was like, okay, what now? You know, I was very happy to find it out, but again, what now? What do I do with this information? How do I live with it? I've been following a lot of ADHD pages and they on Instagram, and they explain to me, or yeah, I'd say explain to me different scenarios that I would say I've gone through, and they give me explanations or they give me validity and make me feel like, okay, so by I'm not crazy because I felt this way, or I hyperfixated on this person or this thing, because I have certain things that I can um, attach myself to, and those things will constantly be in a surrounding, swirling like rotation of things that I love, like Disney, huge Disney fan. Michael Jackson, huge Michael Jackson fan. Avatar, Ben 10, huge fan of all of them. And you ask me what I like, it's always this, and this in that order exactly. And it may be hard to try to get me out of that. It may be hard for me to try new things sometimes. It depends. Um, it depends on what it is, but it'll take me a while to want to try something new if someone tries to introduce it to me. It's weird. I want somebody to introduce me to something and kind of walk me through it, but then it feels like it's too much of a task, and then I'm rushed to do it because somebody asks or wants me to do it then and there. It's just very, very hard to. I don't know. I'm still getting to know myself with it. Of course, I've been living myself for years since I was born, but I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what's going on with my body. I don't know what's going on with my mind. But I realized, it can be a superpower as well. It was so funny that soon after I was diagnosed with ADHD, um, for those who don't know, ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. And it's funny that after maybe a week or two after I got diagnosed, I saw the Netflix show Forever, where the main character Justin was um, the character Justin has ADHD, and I looked at him. You know, he was in high school and everything, and he used, you know, he. I don't know how you describe it, but the people that needed extra help, he used, you know, the people that get extra time, people with disabilities or something get extra time, or they go to another room to test or something like that, or they get extra help to learn. I noticed, wow, I never used that because I thought, you know, all of what I was doing was normal in high school and even in elementary school. My mom would I would always come home and my mom would say, "What did you do to school? What did you do in school today?" And I go, I don't know. I don't remember." And unbeknownst to us, it it was ADHD. I couldn't recall what was. I know what I did, but I just couldn't verbalize it to her. And sometimes I can't verbalize unless I'm going literally step by step of what happened. And people tell me, you know, that can get drawn out a lot. And, you know, people might lose interest in hearing about it, or I've been told to speak up or, you know, spit it out or something like that. It's not easy for me to do that. You know, it, it's just not easy. You know, it, um, sometimes you don't know what to do. But watching Justin, um, I definitely didn't feel alone. I physically, of course, you know, in person, I still feel that way because um, my ADHD will still get me in trouble sometimes. Sometimes there be days I wake up and I'm not in the mood. I have ADHD plus depression and anxiety, and everybody has their own, you know, past, a troubling past that we are all dealing with, and all of that, you know, constantly surrounding my mind. It feels like I can never get a break sometimes. I made this podcast because I wanted to have something fun to do. I looked at a lot of podcasts. I looked at the Avatar Braving the Elements, the You Should Know podcast. Um, she's gotten more podcasty. I don't think that's a word, but she's gotten more podcasty with it. Um, I follow MJ Fangirl. Um, what was it? Oh, the Ned's Pod, which is a Waverly Pod. Couple of them, and I said, you know what? They're just sitting there and they're talking with their friends about life, and I was like, you know, I want to do that too. This is my life. You know, I'm dealing with this right now. I'm still getting used to having ADHD, and because I'm so conscious of it now, every time something happens, like, oh, that's ADHD, oh, that's ADHD, oh, that's ADHD. Still trying to get used to understanding myself and my mind. It was just mind boggling to me. And then knowing or finding out the term neurodivergent and then identifying yourself with it and not knowing it for years, it was mind boggling. It was like, yes, I finally got the answers, but wow, this is weird, especially getting diagnosed as an adult. For me personally, it's just like, we lose our memory, we can repeat things. It's just, we could get, I would say, you know, in some instances that, you know, relationships were troubled, I would say. The relationships were troubled. Part of it, my ADHD is a lot to blame because um, say you're used to say you're used to talking to a friend every day, and the one day that they don't talk to you, like, oh my gosh, are you not my friend anymore? Do you not like me? You just completely internalize everything, and you shouldn't. And it's pretty hard to do that because your mind is just thinking of all the different ways of why is this person not doing this? Or why is this not happening for me? And it feels like it's the end of the world. Almost everything feels like it is the end of the world. I get into an argument with somebody, oh, they hate me, they don't like me, they don't want to talk to me anymore, so I stay quiet. Um, Somebody, walks by me, doesn't say anything. Oh, well, that's rude, that's disrespectful. I don't like that person because this, that, and this. And you harbor on it for so long. Everyone keeps telling me, or everyone will keep telling me or telling you. I'm speaking in general, but also speaking for myself. Oh, that situation is over with. Let it go. It's not easy for me. I would want to let it go, but when I think about this situation, that wound is still flat fresh. That wound is still fresh. Whether it happened 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago, it's still fresh for me. I am and have been doing the work. Speaking in general, I have and am been doing the work to let this roll off my back. To not let this determine, not let this situation in the past determine my present and my future. It is not it is hard to let go of something, especially when it involves something or someone that you deeply care about. I can get into arguments about people or things that I like, because somebody will make a sly remark, or um, even if they have their own preference, like say, oh, I don't like this show, I don't like this food. What do you mean you don't like the show? It's awesome. Da, 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 da. Especially when they start bashing it. Yo, when they start bashing what you like, it feels like they're bashing you. And they may not be trying to bash you. They are talking specifically about that objective thing, but because you love it so much, because I love it so much, I feel like it's a part of me. And therefore, if you reject that, you are rejecting that part of me. That's how strongly you can feel things when you have ADHD. And you can never shut it off. You can never shut it off. Even when you try, medication may not always work. Therapy may not always work, but they can. That doesn't mean that they won't work. I highly encourage people to go to therapy. I've been in therapy for almost a year, and it has been a wonderful experience. I've made a lot of progress, and I hope to continue to do more because my therapist is awesome. She's very, very helpful. She understands me, and that's all so on me, but with someone ADHD can never hope for somebody to completely understand you, and not you don't have to worry about how this thing will come off to them, or how they will react to this certain thing or whatever. And I think not even people with ADHD, but everybody wants to be understood. Nobody will ever understand you more than God will. But and that's not a but that's truly all we need. But as human beings, we're flawed, and we crave validation from other people. And getting it is such satisfaction. And it's hard for anybody to um, not want validation. Some people with ADHD, me, um, need the validation that they're doing good or that they're doing well. They like to hear or feel like their efforts are not done in vain. Um, I've done a lot to try to get to know people deeply and for who they are. If I try to get to know you, I like to get to know you for yourself. I don't care about necessarily what's on the outside, but if you have a good heart, that's what's going to attract me to you. Um, I say ADHD is a superpower sometimes because even as a child, I've been told, I had a kind of sixth, sixth, sixth sense, okay, whatever, I can't, you know what it is, a sixth sense um, for people and just in general. Like I'll have moments where I think of a scenario and then it'll play out. Or I'll think of a person and they turn around the corner. It's happened multiple times. Um, or you think about a scenario and it may happen farther in the future. And I'm like, you know what, this feels like I've done this before. I've experienced this before, and it it just gets you so cool. I used to pretend, not pretend, but I used to say, and I still will say it. I'm psychic because visions will come to me. When visions will come to me, and then they just play out. I don't think I'm actually a psychic. I just play around with it, but it does happen with me. Um, those scenarios can and definitely have happened with me. So I, I believe that that's one of my superpowers. And the superpower is being different. It is all right to be different. It's all right to be cast out. It's all right to be set aside because when God separates you from people you're not supposed to be with, it's for a reason. It's either to get you away from them so that you may progress, to get you away from them so they don't drag you down, to get away from them so that you don't make a mess of your life. It's for your greater good. And it will hurt. I've lost a lot of friends. And some I'm still getting over, not all of them. Some I'm glad that they're gone. But there are definitely some I wish stuck around. And, maybe they can be rekindled, maybe they can't. But people were meant to be in your life for a reason. And I'm glad, despite all of my um, discrepancies, I hope that's the right word, I am glad and blessed to be who I am. And not a lot of people can say that, unfortunately. God made every man and woman in his image. And for us to doubt ourselves because of what other people make us feel or what we may think about ourselves, we are made in his image. And if we say, that we don't like or appreciate this person, that we don't like or appreciate what he gave us, what he did for us, and or like what he created, or that it wasn't his creation wasn't good enough. And I'm trying to stay away from certain things like that, like saying, somebody's ugly or um, they're nasty, anything negative about a person that isn't about their spirit. If they have a mean, nasty spirit, that's a separate thing because they bring that upon themselves. But as for others, it's not good to do that. And I just have a soft spot for certain things like that. But it's very having ADHD can be very cool too. I am Still navigating it, still discovering all of my superpowers. But it is a struggle finding who you are and getting to know yourself. And getting to know yourself first takes getting to know God, because if you know God, God knows you better than anybody. He understands you more than anybody will ever do, because He created you. He knows what you're for. He knows what you can do. He knows what you can't do. So all we have to do is focus on our relationship with Him, get to know Him, and then we will therefore get to know us. A lot of people don't love themselves, and they really should, because God loves every single person. He may not like what we all do, but He loves us. He loved us enough to make us. Whether people feel that way or not, it's absolutely true. And I know that to be true myself. With my illnesses, I was fated by the doctors to pass away before I was 2 years old. And here I am, almost 25 this year. Thank God. And thank my mother. And thank you for the doctors that did help. Thank you for the friends and family that supported me, that continue to support me, that love me. ADHD can make you feel like you're not wanted, you're not loved. And even when you can see it, you can see that people love you. People tell you. Sometimes, if you can't see it yourself, you will not. You will not. You'll never receive it. If you don't receive it, you'll never see yourself in that way. You have to learn sometimes to see yourself how other people see you, because sometimes people on the outside can tell us what they see and what's going on the outside, so that we're then aware, so that we can fix those things and be better people. Get to know yourself, get to know God, get to know yourself, and love yourself. That's the first thing. Love yourself. Love God, love yourself. You know, you're going to be with yourself forever. You're going to be with yourself forever. And you're going to have to live with being yourself, because it's not like you can do anything about it. You're stuck with each other. So get used to it. Man, I've started my journey of loving myself after high school, because I had lost a lot of friendships from there that were very meaningful to me, whether some were not of me and some everybody has their faults in every relationship. But if the relationship is strong enough, it would definitely make it through. It would definitely make you through. And you wouldn't have to worry about anything. When people love you and they give you compliments, take it. Receive it. Whether you want to or not, take it. And I want you to sit with it and realize that, wow, I didn't think of this, but this person, without me having to consciously do anything, saw the goodness in me, saw this great thing in me, and said, hey, you are great, you are awesome, you are wonderful, you are loved, I love you, you are such a wonderful person, I love how you do this, I love how you do that. And you don't have to ask them to say that. That means it naturally oozes off of you. So you have to take that mirror that they put in your face and stare deeply. Look, analyze yourself. This person saw this in me. Why can't I? You know what? If this person saw this in me, then there's definitely something there. And you should follow that. I've been told, um, in my college years that I was a people bringer, and I noticed that it was my calling that got, if not all, my only, it's one of my callings, was to bring people together. A lot of my family hasn't haven't been together by the time around the era of my transplant. A lot of my family hadn't gotten together or really knew each other like that until I came, and everybody heard of my sickness. Everybody was so worried. They loved me enough to worry. And on the day that I got the transplant, that I had the surgery, everybody was there. My mom and my grandmother they tell me the story often. Before that situation, they didn't get together as much as they should have. But I brought them together in that moment without even trying. And then fast forward to college, I've noticed that I've always, been a part of different groups different groups in high school, but I never paid attention to the fact that, oh, I brought this person from this group and this person from this group. I brought them all together, people from different groups, the classic like cliques in high school. I brought them from all together, all around, because I was friendly to a lot of people. I brought them all around, and they they got to know each other. It's weird, like hypothetically, you won't expect the jock to get with the nerd, classic, or with the architect with the dancer or something like that. The science guy with an artist, all of that. And fast forward to college, I brought people to Focus, which stands for Fellowship of Christian Art Students. It was our campus ministry at the time, and campus ministry club at the time. And they would say after everyone, bring one person, and I would bring three. Sometimes I'd bring two, four, and I'd be the only one that really brought somebody often. And I was told by a pastor that, you're a people bringer. So, what do you mean? You're like, you people, you know, I don't really know how to describe it, but they just told me about this gift that I had of bringing people together, people that you wouldn't expect, people that didn't believe in God or had a rocky relationship with God. They still came, and I definitely pray that God had an impact on them that night. But I took that, people bringer as a wake up call. It's like, you know what, God, this is what I'm supposed to do. Okay. And I found the issue in my family was that a lot of people didn't know each other. My grandmother's one of nine, and her father's one of 10. My grandmother's siblings and their children knew each other, but their children did not know each other. My generation did not know each other. I got a chance to meet all of my great aunts and uncles, except one because he passed away at a young age for him before I was born. And I would go to, the kids of my mom's first cousins and everything. Like, well, do you know this person? Do you know that person? Do you know them? No, no, I never met them. No, 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 no. I said, well, what's going on here? You know what? Let's do this. Bring you guys over here. Bring you guys over here. Make these connections. And eventually, I kept doing it, and it broke through a barrier of the barrier going past my great grandfather's siblings, the one of 10. My great grandfather is the oldest of those 10. So I started venturing out to getting to know the children of his siblings and so on and so forth. And I brought them all together to do different things to congregate as a family. And I pray that that continues. Um, I definitely, I definitely want to continue with that. I took a break um, this past year excuse me, after I um, helped plan the family reunion type thing. It was a gathering, I called it. Everybody calling it a reunion. Um, 'Cause I gotten sick. I just gotten sick a couple of days beforehand, like maybe a week or two beforehand, and afterwards, I just focused on my physical and mental health afterwards, and I reached out to people here and there. Some reached out to me, but I haven't done any huge planning things because I'm just tired, and I felt really, felt very defeated. And some attempts were made, and they didn't come. There's another thing of ADHD, rejection dysphoria. Excuse me, rejection. Yeah, rejection sensitive dysphoria. Um, some family members didn't want to be included, and I felt really bad because I wanted to get to know everybody. But I focused so long on the bad things that happened, the people that didn't want to do it, that in a way I would say, I don't think I'd say I neglected them, but I didn't pay attention to the good thing that I had. This one person may not have done this, but look at all these other people that wanted to be a part of this. I had to switch gears. I said, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I focused on them, and I love them. I love those family members that didn't want to, but and I still would like to have relationships with them, but I can't. You can't force something that you can't force a person to do. To do something. So, of course, I do hope they're well, but I definitely want to get back into it because God has a plan for my life and for my family and for all of yours, and I want His plan to come to fruition. So, yeah, I think that might be I think that might be it for the day. Um, thank y'all for tuning into this segment, for tuning into this episode. There's more we should. There's more we just hear podcast. Coming up soon. We have some more episodes out for you. Hopefully, you guys can relate to anything that we're talking about. Plan to talk about a whole lot of things, so stay tuned. Be out. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of the We Just Hear podcast. We love to hear from y'all, so please, give us a like, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your family, and leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. We out.